Welcome back to week 6 of our Career Kickstart Bootcamp for GGU Law graduates. If you haven't printed out the worksheet for today's session, please do so now. Here's a summary of the journey we've taken together these past 6 weeks. And see how each of the topics is interrelated. We've referred throughout the session to items covered in all 6 of the sessions. If you missed any of them, I encourage you to go back and watch the recordings on the Law Career Development YouTube channel. Today's session will focus on some tips for getting through the holiday season while job hunting. We'll develop an action plan to carry you through and beyond the holiday season. We'll prepare you to handle job offers, and I'll offer some strategies to get you started at your new job on the right foot. Here's a review of the homework from last week. If you have any questions about the homework or struggled with any of it, I encourage you to reach out to one of the counselors at Law Career Development for further support. The holiday season can create some unique stresses for job seekers, and I wanted to arm you with some strategies for handling these situations. First, I wanted to encourage you to continue moving the ball forward during the holiday season. Don't believe that often repeated idea that employers don't do any hiring over the holidays. Now, it may be true that hiring slows down in the last week or so of December, but that's a great time for you to make some progress on your job search. And there are some specific things that you can only do during the holidays to advance your search. So let's talk about those. As we discussed in an earlier webinar, now is a great time to start getting prepared to send out some holiday greetings to the folks on your contact list. I encourage you to organize that mailing list now of all of your professional contacts, faculty members, former supervisors, former colleagues, people you've met through your networking and bar association activities. Make sure you have a good mailing list, which is a good thing to have in any event, and start planning to send out holiday cards in the first or second week of December. You can purchase some very simple non-denominational cards, and I encourage you to write a personal note in each of the cards. It doesn't have to be long or extensive. It could simply be, thanks for all your support, happy holidays. But just some show that you've taken some effort to connect with them on a personal level, and then get those in the mail by the first or second week of December. Having that personal reminder of who you are and that you're thinking of your colleagues will go a long way to creating some goodwill and reminding folks that you're out there and that you're someone that they want to share opportunities with. Now, many bar associations and professional organizations host holiday gatherings for their members. I encourage you to attend those events and take advantage of these festive opportunities. If you're feeling reticent for navigating through large group settings, I encourage you to go back and listen to the webinar from week 3, where we talked about some strategies for navigating these larger crowds at different events. And then after you go to these events and you meet some folks there, remember to do the follow-up that we also discussed in session 3. So I encourage you to go back and watch that webinar for some details on how to make the most of the relationships that you are building within your professional community. And while the holidays can bring new opportunities to connect with other legal professionals, it's not uncommon to feel anxious about the prospect of seeing family and friends when you're feeling unsettled about your professional prospects. While our loved ones mean well, their attention and unsolicited suggestions can sometimes feel overbearing. Here are some tips on how to navigate the holiday table. Remind yourself that they are coming from a place of love and concern. And for them, silence can be stressful. Our loved ones assume that if they don't know what our job strategy is, then they assume we must not have one. So let them know that you do have a job search plan and that you've been acting on it. If they know you're on top of things, they will likely back off. In fact, let them know what you're looking for. Use these gatherings to practice speaking about your professional brand. This empowers your loved ones with the knowledge of what you seek so that they can network on your behalf. Let them know how they can help you. Can they help you practice for job interviews, proofread applications? If they're connected to the legal community, can they help make introductions or accompany you to networking events? If they want to give you a holiday gift, could they help pay for your membership in a professional organization? Or maybe get you a gift card to your favorite store so that you can start building your professional wardrobe. If they aren't able to help with the professional side of the search, can they help you with your personal needs? For example, can they help you with meals or laundry or pet sitting, maybe give you a ride to a job interview? Whether their interest in your job search is welcome or not, show them your appreciation and try your best not to let it bother you. Now, it is possible that you will still be looking for a job after the new year. Many employers do re-engage their hiring processes after the 1st of January. So we'll want you to keep using the skills we've discussed throughout our time together to keep your search energized. So during that, what I call that holiday downtime, which is typically that last week of December, take some time to review your short-term needs and eliminate any obstacles that have gotten in the way of your job search success. Review the who, how, what, and where chart from session 2. Have you refined your interests? Have you developed new experiences that you can use to update your narrative? Do you continue to have gaps in your experience? If so, what can you do to eliminate them? And then once January rolls around, continue expanding your professional network and strengthening the ties to the colleagues you already have. Conduct informational interviews, reach out to your contacts every 6 weeks or so, and keep getting involved in professional organizations. Fine-tune your professional brand and make sure it is supported across all of your communications. Log into LinkedIn on a daily basis and generate content for your different social media channels like your blog or your website. Stay focused, be kind to yourself, and celebrate the small achievements you make along the way. Now, at some point, all of your diligence is going to pay off and you're going to receive a job offer. So congratulations. Now, before you decide whether or not to accept the offer, there are a few things you need to consider. It's helpful to have identified in advance some key benchmarks that you can use to evaluate whether this offer is objectively a good offer, and more importantly, whether it's a good offer for you. Be clear on your personal needs. Remember back in our first session together, you identified a variety of needs in terms of financial stability, family, housing, stress management that you were managing during your temporary job search. As you begin to consider long-term jobs, are you clear on what you will require from your job to meet these needs on a long-term basis? If not, spend some time in December identifying what you expect from your next job in order for it to be viable and sustainable. In addition, explore your professional needs. In session 2, we discussed your ideal job and target market. And in that discussion, you identified the work qualities that were most important to you. What are they? Are they still important? Make sure you know what they are so you can use that as criteria to evaluate any offers that come your way. And finally, do you have a sense of the market rate for jobs such as the one you've just received the offer from? What do comparable employers pay for this kind of role, and how many billable hours do they typically require? There are several resources you can utilize, including Glassdoor, NALP, talking to the counselors at Law Career Development, and most helpfully, talking to the colleagues you've met through your networking. They'll know the market better than anyone. Knowing your criteria will help you evaluate the specific opportunities that come your way. One easy shorthand is to ask yourself this: will this new job bring you closer to achieving your professional goals? In other words, if you take this job, will you be better prepared or more marketable for jobs that you want down the road? Now, when the employer wants to offer you the position, they will most likely give you a call. And when you see that call coming in, if you are not able to have a private conversation, I recommend that you don't answer the phone. So if you're on BART or in a crowd or walking down Market Street and you see that employer calling you, let it go to voicemail, listen to the message, and then go find a private place for you to return the call. When you speak with the employer, listen to the offer that they're making you and make sure you understand all of its terms. Let the employer know how excited you are to hear from them. And unless you are applying to a job with a judge, do not feel compelled to say yes on the spot. Instead, ask them, when will you need my answer? While you may be 100% certain that you'll accept the offer, take some time to make sure you understand the terms of what's being presented to you. If you have questions about the offer, schedule a phone meeting with the hiring manager as soon as possible. You want to use that phone conversation to gather some key information and really identify the parameters of the job. So there's a checklist on the screen, and it's also in your handout for today's session. You first want to take a look at the compensation and benefit structure. What is the salary? Do they offer a bonus? And if so, how does the bonus structure work? What triggers you receiving a bonus? What are the benefits and the vacation? Do they reimburse your state bar dues or CLE attendance? You then want to focus on the work requirements and policies. What are the minimum billable hours required? And beyond that, what is the average number of billable hours that attorneys at your level tend to bill? What happens if the employer doesn't have enough billable work to fill your requirements? What are the employer's official work hours? Is there any flexibility if you need it to shift the schedule earlier or later? For example, if you have child care obligations or some other reason why you need to skew your work hours. What is the employer's attitude toward working from home? How are performance evaluations handled? How often will you be evaluated? How are the benchmarks for those evaluations set? Is there training available to help you bring you to the next level? Are raises tied to evaluations? What is your employer's policy toward pro bono work? Will those hours count toward any billable hours that you're required to make? Does the employer support involvement in bar associations? If so, what does that support look like? And what are the employer's expectations regarding marketing and client development? What support or resources do they provide to help you with that effort? And if you do bring in clients to the firm, do you get some kind of credit or bonus for the work that you bring into the firm? Once you understand the details of the position, you'll need to evaluate whether this job will meet your personal and professional needs. If there are gaps, are they wide enough to make a difference, or are you willing to accept those gaps? Would you want to request an accommodation to bridge any gaps between what they're offering and what you need? I encourage you to get a second opinion. Talk with your mentors and with Law Career Development if you need help evaluating a position or preparing to negotiate with the employer. Do so in a timely fashion, as the employer is waiting to hear from you. If you need to negotiate different terms than what's been offered, set a meeting with the hiring manager. If possible, meet in person. If not, schedule a phone meeting. Before initiating that negotiation, have a clear understanding of what is likely to be negotiable. As an entry-level attorney, you may not have much bargaining power over salary, and whatever they pay you must fit into their existing salary structure. If you're interviewing for a government job, there's even less flexibility. You may find that there's more room to negotiate on the non-financial aspects of your package. Now, don't negotiate for the sake of negotiating. If you do choose to negotiate over things that are important to you, show the employer what's in it for them. In other words, show how this requested change will enable you to flourish in the job and how little it will cost the employer. Be clear in your mind about whether these are must-haves or nice-to-haves and approach the conversation accordingly. Don't push on topics that are not deal breakers. The most important thing to keep in mind is that you are establishing a long-term relationship with the employer. Approach the meeting with a desire to achieve an outcome that will work for both of you and that will enable you to be successful with this employer over the long term. Both you and the employer should feel good about the arrangement that you've created together. Once you've made a decision, communicate it as soon as possible with the employer. And in any case, you should be communicating within the time frame that the employer requested. You should communicate your decision over the phone. Avoid hiding behind email or voicemail to deliver uncomfortable news. If you do accept the offer, let the employer know how excited you are to join the team. Ask if there's anything they would like you to do to prepare in advance of your first day. The employer should send you a written offer confirming the terms and your start date. Review this and return the assigned copy as soon as possible. If you realize that this is not the right job for you, you should contact the employer as soon as possible to decline the offer so that they can extend an offer to a different candidate. Handling this process with courtesy and professionalism is extremely important. You are likely to come in contact with these attorneys down the road, and you want to preserve your relationship and your reputation for being professional. Now, what happens if you don't get the job offer? First of all, I want you to handle it graciously. One of the most important lessons I've learned over the years is that the employer is not telling you that they would never hire you. What they are telling you is that they're not going to hire you right now. Over the years, there have been several very strong staff members who we ended up hiring at GGU the second time they applied for jobs. That first time, maybe there was something missing in their background or they weren't the right fit for the position they were interviewing for. And we saw something different and special the second time around. So hold on to that hope if there's an employer you really enjoyed meeting with and you want to be part of their organization. In fact, I encourage you to cultivate a relationship with that employer. Send them an email or note letting them know how much you enjoy learning about their organization during the interview process. Ask to stay in touch if any new opportunities arise, and wish them well on their new hire. Connect with the hiring manager on LinkedIn, and use the strategies we discussed in session 3 for developing a professional relationship with the people that you meet. You may consider seeking feedback from them. Instead of saying, "Why didn't I get the job?" focus on what you could do to make yourself a stronger candidate for future positions. Throughout this job search process, stay in touch with the counselors at Law Career Development. They're a terrific resource if you need guidance at any point in the process or if you just need a little energy boost. Now, it is also important for members of the class of 2016 to keep Law Career Development apprised of your employment situation. The ABA, which is GGU's accrediting agency, requires that every law school report the employment status of every member of its most recent graduating class as of March 15th, 2017. This is a mandatory requirement of every ABA law school. You will soon be receiving emails and calls from Law Career Development requesting this information from you. Please know that they are not trying to be nosy. They are required as part of their accreditation to gather this information from you and document it as well as they possibly can. The employment information they receive will be reported to the ABA. It will be reported anonymously. Your name will not be attached to the data. Aggregated data will also be made available to NALP for its research on trends in legal employment and to U.S. News & World Report for their annual ranking of the law schools. Prospective students use this information when making decisions about law school. And you can see the kind of information collected from past GGU classes on the Employment Statistics tab on the Law Career Development page of the GGU website. Because GGU is required to report data on each of its graduates, Law Career Development staff will continue to contact you until they receive your information. And if your information changes after you report it to LCD, please send them an email to update your employment status. And you can send that email to lawcareer@ggu.edu. Now, when we're in a job search, we tend to think that the process ends when we get the job. But of course, that's just the beginning. This is particularly true as your new job will be the foundation from which you launch your legal career. You want to make this experience as successful as possible. Here are a few tips for getting off to a good start. First, catch your breath. You've worked hard throughout law school, bar study, and your job search to earn this opportunity. You deserve the success. Take a moment to get yourself grounded before jumping on the next roller coaster. Review the discussion we had in session 1 about taking care of your needs. Are you set up to invest your time and energy in your new job? Review the exercises we did in session 1 and reassess your current needs, remove any obstacles to make sure you can have long-term success in your new position. Show your new employer you're happy to be there. Arrive early, engage fully, and look happy to be there. Work hard to conquer the learning curve as quickly as possible. Being successful as a lawyer isn't just about working hard and doing a good job on your assignments. It's about providing excellent service to your clients. To do this well, you need to understand their needs to the point that you can anticipate and address them in an effective manner. It's also important to remember that you have 2 sets of clients and that you need to bring value to both of them. The first set of clients are your external clients. These are the people or organizations who engaged your employer for legal representation, and you have a strong fiduciary obligation to put their needs above all others. But you also have a second set of clients that you must also serve. These are your supervisors and colleagues. Your role as the junior member of the team is to anticipate the needs of those to whom you report. Keep an eye on the big picture and understand how your piece fits into the larger equation. For example, if you have been asked to do research and write some analysis that will be utilized by a more senior colleague in a brief, deliver your work in a timely manner and structure your analysis so that it can be easily incorporated in the brief with minimal reworking. Find ways to make the people who rely on you look good. Treat administrative staff with the same care and courtesy. Take time to understand their role and how they work best. Take ownership over your work. When you delegate work, communicate your requests clearly and in a timely fashion so that the person you're delegating it to can produce it to the best of their abilities. You are responsible for the work you delegate and should do what is necessary to ensure it is done correctly and on time. Now, you will make mistakes. The real test will be in how you respond to those mistakes. Don't be afraid to communicate with the necessary internal parties and take responsibility for your part in the situation. Do your best to remediate the situation and mitigate any damage. What can you learn from the situation that will help you become a better lawyer? Take an interest in your new work colleagues. Make friends, but be cautious. Do not engage in gossip. And realize that the person who is sharing office gossip with you may not be the most trustworthy source, and should certainly not be the person in whom you confide. Understand your employer's business model and how to be successful within it. What are your organization's financial drivers? How can you help contribute toward the bottom line? Update the way you communicate your professional brand. You are now a representative of your employer, and you want to make sure that your branding is not inconsistent or creating any conflicts of interest. Understand your employer's policy regarding social media. Do they limit what you can comment on publicly? Do they provide support to assist you in maintaining your social media presence? Manage your performance. Review the work you've done throughout our webinar series to understand the skills, knowledge, and experience you need to continue advancing in your career. Partner with your supervisor to set goals to continue growing in your role. Keep track of your achievements over the course of the year. Did you master new skills? Create good results for your clients? Put the employer's interests before your own? Save any feedback you receive from supervisors, clients, and colleagues, and review them from time to time. Having these specific examples available to you will be invaluable when your annual review process approaches. Being able to document your successes can help you justify raises and promotions in the future. Now, whether you're still in the job hunt or starting at your new job, remember to take care of yourself. I once received a great piece of advice which I'd like to share with you. At the end of each day, think about 3 things you are grateful for. In addition to putting the stresses of your job search or new job in perspective, Experiencing a sense of gratitude will bring you calmness, confidence, and the motivation to tackle new challenges tomorrow. By being thankful for what you have, you will attract more of what you want. Now, success will come to you in all kinds of packages. Learn to recognize it and take the time to celebrate it. So what will you do for yourself when you hit all of your job search goals for the week? Or if you invite that person for an informational interview who you were really intimidated to reach out to? How will you celebrate when you reconnect with former supervisors and colleagues or join that bar association committee? What will you do if you make it to that second round job interview? Or how about when you have that first successful pro bono hearing? How will you reward yourself if you watched all 6 of these boot camp webinars and have done the homework? Celebrating the smaller victories along the way will replenish your energy for the long haul. Reflect on what you've already accomplished and look at what you've done so far to develop your professional identity, build your skills, expand your network, deepen your knowledge, and generate opportunities for yourself. Take satisfaction in your efforts. You are becoming the attorney you want to be and bringing yourself closer to achieving your professional goals. Today, we talked about ways to navigate the holiday season. We came up with some action plan items to continue moving your job search forward. We reviewed how to handle job offers, and I offered you a few tips on how to start your new job on the right foot. Now, even though it's our last session, there's still some homework. I encourage you to use the action plan on page 1 of today's handout. I also encourage you to review the homework from our prior 5 sessions. That homework was typically listed on the last page of the handout from each of those sessions. Complete any unfinished assignments and reflect on the ones that you did do. Does anything need to be updated in light of things you've learned about yourself or progress that you've made? And meet with the Law Career Development Counselor, Neva Tassin, for ongoing guidance and support on your job search. If you have any questions about the information covered in today's session or in prior sessions, I encourage you to reach out to Law Career Development at lawcareer@ggU.edu. Thank you. I am so grateful to GGU for having the opportunity to support you in your job search, and I wish all of you every success as you move forward. Law Career Development will be sending a brief survey to the webinar participants to get your feedback on this webinar series and to see if there are other resources you would like to see in the future. Please complete the survey. They really value your feedback. Thanks again, and I wish you all the best as you move forward on your legal career.